Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The ladies here, really we are together in this fight. My name is Dr. Innocent Nahagwe, the CEO of Galaxy FM. Kati bano byobadde boogera oluzungu nnyo ffe tujjamu nga Galaxy kutuusa buno obubaka abantu bwe beetaaga essaawa zino in a way they can properly and totally understand the battle that we are up to. Galaxy FM is the leading FM station, especially for young people in this country, by far, by all measures, research and otherwise. And unfortunately, HIV continues to afflict the young a lot more. For many of them, for nothing of their own choosing. Some of them were born with it, so they have nothing to do with it, but they are still suffering with it. Even when we look at the current incidence, the number of people getting HIV, a lot of them are young people. And we know people cannot dance and enjoy our music if they are sick. And we know that HIV is preventable. It's not even like corona, which you can get by kwesiamra, by sneezing and other things. Here, even if I touch you, even if I hug you, you can definitely not get HIV. But we know that the major way through which HIV transmits is through the sex route. And we know our young people at the age where they definitely enjoy the act. So as Galaxy, we found it very important to partner with Reach a Hand this time and through a few years and probably many years ahead to see, one, raise the awareness about HIV, two, try to ring the bell again. Many years ago, they used to play the drum to kind of alert people about HIV. Now we have become numb to the messages of HIV. So we want to raise the noise again and ring the bell again to try to remind people that HIV is still there and it still kills. So that's essentially why we are here. And we are going to be with Reach a Hand along the route by using the messages, simple messages, music. There is a concert on Friday. I hope you'll attend it. So through music, through drama, through comedy, through communication, through hosting peers. We have been having shows on air today and through the week. So we'll try as much as possible, use the best means possible to reach young people and tell them, so long as if you cannot abstain, which I know you can do, but in case you cannot, at least be faithful, because we know every year at least 57% of Ugandans, of young people, have had sex with somebody who is not either their partner in the last 1 year, according to AIDS Commission research. So it shows you the people are actually doing that. So at least be faithful, and if you can't, at least use a condom. And when all those things fail, at least know that is an option of at least going to see a medical person for you to be able to get, at least there is PEP and other ways. So we are happy to be part of this engagement, and we hope that by working with Rahu, we'll be able to at least achieve our purpose. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. That is why we have partnered with Reach a Hand to ensure that we live this year's theme, which is ending the pandemic by tearing down inequalities which exist amongst us, and whereby we can deal with this through vast awareness, bringing back, the cause, the reasons why we were able to reduce the spread of HIV. Drive awareness, encourage people to test, and have this week-long initiative where we'll together ensure that we drive awareness with that. So it's a privilege and honor for us to be here, and we look forward to a week-long engagement where we shall be able to have fruitful results in the long run. And I'd like to thank everyone for being here, and together, let's stand against the spread of HIV. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Connie. Amelia, from CTV, the head of current affairs.
Yeah, thank you so much. Connie, you've spoken so well. Is it still morning? It's afternoon, yeah. Good afternoon, audience. Well, I am from CTV, like you've heard. It's a newly launched channel. It's a baby, the latest baby in town. And for us, while we are partnering with Reach a Hand Uganda on this, CTV is focused on youth, and especially women. And we all know that youth make the biggest percentage of the population. So our typical viewer is young. They are mobile choice. They are very discerning sometimes. And they're cosmopolitan, just like the International University of East Africa, which has attracted a very big crowd of people from across the region. So this viewer has access to a plethora of information, just like you know. In this age, this is the information age, and there's so much information that is coming to our people, our young people especially. They have energy, they have visibility, they have a lot of choices to make. So our responsibility as CTV is to give them information that is clean, information that is reliable, that is factual, that is true, which can help them to make the right decisions. If someone is able to find out whether they are HIV positive or not, what decision do they make with that? And also, one of the biggest challenges that is associated with HIV is stigma, which is very surprising that for an ailment that has been here for a very long time, we still have a stigma which prevents people from either finding out their status or going for treatment or even living or having access to services that they should be able to. So that's why we've positioned ourselves with Reach a Hand Uganda and all the other partners in the fight against HIV. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amelia. Mr. Nahaba?
Yeah, thank you so much. To the partners, allow me to stand, because I sat on a short chair, but standing at least boosts up my confidence. Since also in this week is also to boost their confidence and the lifestyle for young people in order for them to make the right informed choices in life. As Reach a Hand Uganda, my name is Humphrey Naimanya. I'm the CEO and founder of Reach a Hand Uganda. We're very happy that it has taken us now 8 years. I'm glad to say that the first time we did the 1 week in December campaign were with Innocent in our club. Yeah? Amnesia, yes, as my team was confusing it with ambience. But it was Amnesia at that time. And the theme that time when I met with Innocent was like, we have to really drive this cause. And I'm happy that 8 years down the road, we are still together with Galaxy FM, championing the same cause. And the first time we engineered was to keep the promise. That was the theme at that time. And even we did a song with various musicians, and we were aiming at how can Ugandans keep the promise in fighting against HIV and AIDS. And so we have moved now to the I Know campaign, as Reach a Hand saying that every Ugandan in this country has an HIV status. It's either you're HIV positive or you're HIV negative. But to find that out is through HIV testing. And so we started that journey 7 years ago with Global Livingstone Institute and other partners, trying to emphasize that Ugandans should really know their HIV status. And if you find that you're HIV positive, it's not too late for you to get onto treatment. But also we brought in another element. So we're looking at 3 T's. And some of those T's we're looking at test, treat, and teach. So if you're HIV positive, how can you teach your community? If you're HIV negative, how do you jump on such campaigns like how partners have joined us today on this campaign so that we can create awareness and give information to our public, to our young generation, so that they can understand how to protect themselves, but also they can understand how to live a positive life and celebrate it. So this day on the World AIDS Day, is not a day of sorrows, it's not a day of blaming, it's not a day of how it used to be in the past in our different villages, whereby a person is HIV positive but is condemned for being HIV positive. It's a day for all of us to embrace and create as much awareness around HIV, to emphasize that DKT as partners are there and they're having different flavors, so protect yourself. To emphasize that we have to also be faithful, to emphasize to our young people that they have to really abstain. So reach a hand, we're doing quite a lot that we're going to be talking about, and the things that you're going to be seeing. On Friday, we're having an awareness concert, having a lineup of over 20 musicians and comedians and key public figures that are joining us to create this awareness. Today, we have been moving to different spaces with Galaxy FM and surprising them with testing kits for them to know their HIV status, with condoms from Kiss Condoms, but also to emphasize that we should really protect yourself, and also being on different platforms talking about abstinence to our young generation. So that's what we are really doing, and that's why we, as Reach a Hand, looked at such a great platform to create different awareness in different spaces. Thank you.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I'm called Carol Wambui. I'm the head of marketing, IUEA. I would like to welcome you all to IUEA, the technological university of choice. The reason as to why we partnered with Reach a Hand, it's because we share the same core values. They create awareness to HIV and AIDS. We also do the same. At IUEA, we don't sideline anyone. Like when you talk of HIV, before we used to have a stigma where we used to say that maybe someone who has contracted HIV maybe did it through sex or something else. But these days we know that not everyone who contracts HIV contracted it through sex. Most of them maybe are born with HIV. And how do we help those kind of persons at IUEA? We create that awareness, then we also train them. We also offer some of them some scholarships because they are part of disabled. And as IUEA, we have sections of scholarships where we have maybe like orphans, maybe disabled persons, then also the most vulnerable youth, and also the bright ones. So the reason as to why, I repeat again, we joined Reach a Hand is for us to create that awareness. And also, I encourage, for example, I'll give an example. Recently, our Guild Council, they organized something with Reach a Hand, where they went to the areas of Nabutiti, Kitalanga, and Kansanga. They shared condoms, pads, and also they had an open sex education with the community. And the results were okay, and we really appreciate the Reach a Hand for partnering with IUEA. Our youth, especially now at campus, you know what happens. I believe each and everyone here has passed through campus. You know what happens there. We have a lot of fun. We go do so many things. So as IUEA, we come in, we give them that education, and we tell them HIV is real. One time, there is a person who told me, I quote, HIV is just a normal disease like flu, maybe cancer or diabetes, you know? And I felt it because you can't let yourself go. It is raining, and you let yourself get rained on, and you don't get anything in return. So it is always to tell them, yeah, fine, it might be like any other disease, but at least take precautions. If you can't abstain, of which it is very hard, and you can believe with me, it is very hard to abstain from sex, isn't it? isn't it? Yeah, it is very hard. As long as you started it, it is very hard. And especially for the youth, it is very hard to abstain. Being faithful, that one, according to doctor here, I don't know, that one. Maybe we also should encourage them to be faithful. And the most especially, and the key word should be, let them use condoms. We have our partners here, the condoms, we should use condoms. So thank you very much. You're welcome. And before I forget or before I say something, IUE is open to everyone. Whether you're a victim, whether you're not a victim, whoever you are, you're welcome to IUEA. We have our admissions for January intake that are going on.
And that's how iKnowKati is known in Uganda. But iKnowKati is a global company in 25 countries. We are social International AIDS Day. We know that the genesis of HIV/AIDS, it started from around about 1980. And we believe that from abstinence, from being faithful, from condomizing, and now to test and treat, and many other initiatives like circumcision, still the pandemic needs to be brought under control. So as iKnowKati, we believe that partnering with Reach a Hand is an opportunity, one, to send a message and reinforce the stigma around HIV/AIDS that let's test, because the UN AIDS says 90% of people who are HIV positive need to know their status. And once they test, the UN AIDS says, let the 90% at least go and get treatment. And once they get treatment, let the 90% who are on treatment achieve at least 95% viral suppression. What does that mean? That once the virus is undetectable, it reduces the chances of you transmitting the virus. But also as iKnowKati we are saying, even those whose viral load we cannot detect, you still need to condomize. So we are here to reinforce the message and say that for those who are in discordant relationships, please, you can also use condoms. So all in all, we believe that to end this pandemic, we need to take the message to those hotspots like Adjumani, Kasese, and all those other districts that we are going to be in. But most importantly, reinforce the message amongst people, mainly the young, who no longer have the fear for HIV/AIDS and have a fear for other conditions. So we believe that today is an opportunity to reignite that message. And we've come here to partner with Reach a Hand Uganda because we believe that that platform is important for iKnowKati Uganda, but most importantly, iKnowKati International, as we support the Ministry of Health and other partners in combating the pandemic. Thank you very much.
One, we make sure that there is no new case of HIV. The commitments of the 95, 95, 95, to make sure that 95% of people come and test for HIV, 95% of people who are aware of their HIV status actually enroll on ART. They are able to take life-saving treatment and stay alive and not pass on the HIV, and that 95% of all those people adhere and do not transmit HIV to their partners. So Reach a Hand Uganda every year, like I've mentioned, comes to cement and put a block on this. So this year again, we are here, and the theme for this year really centers around how we can reduce inequality in access to information, in access to testing and other HIV/AIDS services. There are several people who are restricted by either distance, by access, by wealth, they have no money, or by the actual lack of services. If you look at the most recent Uganda AIDS Commission report, whereas we are talking about a prevalence of 5.4 as our national average, there are parts of this country like Kalangala where HIV/AIDS prevalence is at 18%, Fort Portal where it's 14%, and other parts, especially in Gulu where it's about 11% etc. So there is a lot of inequality that needs to be reduced as much as possible so that the people who need the information the most are able to find it. People who need the testing, which is the main entry into the care for HIV, are able to access it. So coming together today is in an attempt to bridge this gap, to bring this back to the discussion. After so many years of HIV, it is still a killer. It still kills dreams. it still affects productivity. It is something that we remain committed to make sure that we prevent, we stop, and we support those who are living with HIV. Should not stigmatize them. We should accept them and allow them to be building blocks into the prevention of any new infection. With this, I welcome you to this day, and I hope that you're joining us for the rest of the 7 days as we move along, because we have quite a lot of work in 5 districts: Kampala, Kasese, Hoima, Adjumani, and we are doing HIV/AIDS information and actual reach of services. In this particular area, we are having outreaches around the university, but also in Chitintale. Feel free to join us today, because that's when the flagship starts, and it will last for the next 7 days. I welcome you, and I hope that we can have the best of this day. Thank you very much.
I'll respond to the question directed to Mobit Products and how we're coming on board. First of all, thank you for all the questions, because I think it's an interesting discussion, because the direction it's taking is really pertinent to us all. I'll start by first of all correcting you that Mobit Products has been in existence for the past for over 20 years, and we do offer quality products for skin care, body care, hair care, and baby care. So it's a whole range of products spreading through over 7 brands. So we do have a whole range of quality products that we share through across all nine African countries, like I earlier on explained. So we are coming on board in partnership with Reach a Hand to cover so many aspects. First of all, we'll speak to the confidence aspect of it. You know that a confident individual or a confident mind is one that can stand for itself, is one that can speak to what they desire or what they deserve, and that is what our products do. So we'll first of all have a range of products that we'll share to boost the confidence of all individuals, the youth and all the different age brackets, because we believe with that you can stand up to yourself, and then we back it up with the awareness where we're going to support Reach a Hand across different vehicles that include the different media platforms that we stand for, that include the different initiatives across the different, because we are countrywide, we spread countrywide. So we'll tag along with Reach a Hand and support all these different aspects. And for us, we don't look at the short-term aspect of it. We look at the long-term, and this is something we have actually done even before this particular campaign, where we stood with Reach a Hand for the Chadala series, which is also speaking to different aspects and challenges that affect the youth. So this is something we're going to continue with the team. This is something that we're going to come on board with through different avenues. I cannot break it down and tell you about the monetary, but that is also captured in there. So it's a whole different angles and facets, but most of all champion awareness and also boost the confidence of the youth, because that is what they need to be able to stand up for themselves, to be able to make decisions that directly impact on their lives for today and for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. For your question on how do we reach the youth, well, there are so many urban centers, of course, that are distributed across the country. And I will speak, even in my personal experience, the information that CTV is giving is accessible online. We're using social media platforms, which the young people especially like to use, the various platforms that are on. Someone asked a question about the challenge of teenage pregnancy, especially during the lockdown. I have been affected firsthand by seeing people that I know, and some of them are in rural areas. But I always find it interesting when I visit and I travel up country, and I find that these people have access to YouTube. They are very connected on WhatsApp, and they have a lot of information that they're accessing. So by packaging information to make it palatable to the young people, that is how we reach message to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Ruth. I think I want to associate myself with what she's saying, but also the AIDS and HIV war is not going to be one all at once using the same arsenal. Rich Hand and ourselves are part of a bigger army of people fighting the same cause. Do we reach up country? Yes, through, we all have applications, and you can access us online and via our social media and others. But what we bring on board, beyond the usual, beyond what everybody else is doing, is the ability to talk to the young people in a manner they totally understand. Not preaching to them, not telling them, not educating them, but finding ways to communicate this message in a way they can totally understand using all our platforms. And that's exactly what we do. But of particular interest to ourselves is finding ways to be able to communicate to especially the young ladies. According to the research that is from the AIDS Commission and Ministry of Health, 29% of all the new infections among young women. 29%, much as they're only 10% of the total population, they have 29% of all the new infections. This is, of course, coming from the culture, from the lifestyle issues. People want to be on Instagram and slay, and then as a result, the pressures push them to, expose themselves. The reduced fear for HIV, which is also now growing. So we are trying to particularly talk to the ladies, and our interest in this campaign is to do our part on that small bit. There are many people fighting in other ways, but for us is to use the platforms that we have to reach the people with a very dedicated message for a particular cause, which is especially to reach the ladies, but most of the youth. See how we can modify this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor, and thanks everyone for asking those insightful questions. It's in forums like this that we get insights of how to do things better. So I'll begin by looking at the last question, which was focusing on condom use and youth and the young people being enemies. And first of all, the history of female condoms is that when female condoms came, the first one called FCA1 was largely, it had a lot of noise. So they refreshed it and brought FC2, which has less noise and less allergies. But the challenge is, with condom use, you need discipline from both the man and also the lady. Now, most men, whereas they would encourage their ladies to use female condoms, they like sneaking in. They bypass the condom. So that has been one of the issues, the indiscipline among men. They like to steal, to sneak through. And most men are not that loyal when it comes to condom use. So they sneak, stealthily, you'll find them sneaking. So again, we need to manage the software of the men such that they can manage the hardware which sneaks through. So first of all, it's a behavior issue, and Richard Han, you're strong in this platform. Galaxy, you're strong in this platform. So let's first fix the software such that the hardware can be managed properly. So that's the first response to that question. When it comes to how is the campaign incorporating the young and the pregnant and already young people who have contracted HIV, I think again, it comes to synergies, partnerships, and as DKT, in the first year of programming this year, we've entered into so many partnerships. One of the strongest partnerships we're having, amidst that we have signed MOUs with districts. There are districts that we know like NEBI. They are Jumanis of this world. There's a lot of high teenage pregnancy, but of course we know. We also need to partner with the cultural leaders and those institutions. So we are riding on the synergies to get what we call best buy solutions, such that we can have a compromise. Last week we had a discussion with one of the cultural leaders in Acholi. He was telling me in Amuru, it's just an epidemic of pregnancies, unsafe abortions, and HIV infection. So we believe that synergies and behavior change will help, first of all, address the issue around the young population that Uganda has, and most important, the access to quality services. Now, on the element of scaling up condom use beyond this campaign, I just want to say that DKT as an organization is not one of those NGOs that opens a project and closes next year. We've been here for 30 years. We are like the Coca-Cola of pleasure. Our brands have stood the test of time. And in Uganda, we work with 50 wholesalers across the country. Our footprint, you can find a Kiss condom in at least 4,000 outlets in Uganda, drug shops and pharmacies. You can go to at least 300 clinics in any radius of this country and find a footprint of DKT products. How are we going to sustain that? If you've been listening to most radio stations and watching television, I'm sure in the late shows you've had discussions around Kiss condoms sponsoring some shows. And that's going to be scaled up. We've just had a meeting with the Health Promotion Department of the Ministry of Health. We're going to have more campaigns above the line. That is billboards, televisions, online platforms, and all that is meant to catch the software of the young person who doesn't want to use condoms. But on the cost issue, the Kiss Classic is at 1.5. In some towns, it's even sold at 1,000. And we brought the flavors because there is what we call user fatigue. Some people have seen the same brand of condoms for the last 20 years. Some of you as old as some brands of condoms here. Same smell, same packaging, same everything. In 2017, we changed our programming and said, we're going to bring flavors. And right now, in the last 4 years, the Kiss brand is the largest and the fastest moving brand of condoms in Uganda. And for those of you who claim when you do Stilsley, and we've also introduced the Lydia Post pill, which is an emergency contraceptive. So we deal in pleasure, and we believe that these flavors will bring the young people on board. Just last week, we've been running interactions with ISEC among universities, and we believe that that campaign was also meant to bring the young people on board. Because who are the people who interact with the young people? The elderly men with money want to interact with the sexy young girls from universities. And what does that mean? That pleasure must be paid for. So we are also moving to lodges, guest houses, non-trade areas, and taking the condoms there. So we have a partner called Sangwit. They take our brands to different massage parlors and all those. So any supermarket you walk to, petrol station, you'll get a Kiss brand. So it's important to note that we are here to stay, and we are here with Richer Hand, and we want to be the biggest brand in Uganda. We've opened offices in Southern Sudan. It's a unique place, but we believe that with partners like Richer Hand, Galaxy, Movit, and I like Movit that you're here. When you're engaged in pleasure, smelling good is paramount. So Movit products with our pleasurable flavored condoms, we are just the perfect match for pleasure industry. Thank you. The ministry predominantly gives out free condoms. And in Uganda, free things associated with the poor quality. And that's why you've noticed that even the army had to rebrand its free condom. And I think called it the Shield. And you can see Uganda Cares, they used to give free condoms. They rebranded it and called it Icon. And so rebranding gives value. And in social marketing, that's what we call a value proposition. That somebody should be able to attach value to our pleasure moment. So some of these condoms are branded, and you see, if a lady uses, for instance, a perfume that is strawberry-like, she'll prefer to use strawberry, the condom. And if she's fond of chocolates, she will also want to add chocolates into her menu of the things she takes in. So that all is meant to attach value. So you'll see me, I like a chocolate cake. If it is your birthday, you say, I want a chocolate cake. And somebody asks for chocolate cake, we'll ask for chocolate condom. So all these things are meant to let people attach value. And in social marketing, we say that's the value proposition, the inner product. What is in it for me that I'm enjoying pleasure with the things that I like most? Thank you very much.